My wife and I started market gardening pretty much like everybody else. We met at university, we had studied ecology, and we just felt like we wanted to make a difference. We didn't really know how, and then we stumbled across a small organic farm starting woofing. And that was the start of something interesting for us. We saw that there was a lifestyle. We saw that we can make a positive difference in meaningful ways by doing something with our hands. We knew nothing about gardening, and we just plunged right into it and learned a lot through experiences. We bought this old rabbit farm in 2004, which had 7-acre and woodlots and a 2-acre prairie, which we thought would make a great market garden. We didn't know a lot back then, but we just felt that if we went in and started doing it, we could get something going. And that's how we started. So we have a CSA of 140 families, and we also do 2 farmers market. And we have a signature salad mix that we sell to different restaurants around the area. Our sales, more or less, the last 6-7 years have been around $150,000 on the acre and a half that we cultivate from April to December. Because of the intensive system that we have on the farm, and because of the ability of having a super good crop planning calendar, we're able to generate maximum amount of revenues at low cost and with low capital investment. All of the tools that we use on the farm are low tech, most of them are hand tools. It's all about technique, how to use them to make it work so that we can generate this income on the farm. The main income goes to my wife and I. We generate a full salary from the sales of the farm. We also have 2 full-time paid employees that are with us from April to November, and we have 2 interns on the farm. 4 people full-time would be able to run the farm. The reason why we have interns is because we want to give young people a chance to learn what we're doing here. We've been making a living for more than a decade on this 2-acre prairie. And today I'm super happy and pleased to be presenting our farm and some of the techniques that we've evolved into and learned through the years, passing them along to you guys, hopefully with the intention that it can help you kickstart your own project. So jump in, we'll show you the farm, we'll show you what we're doing, and hopefully you can get something out of it. We're located in southern Quebec, just north of the US border with Vermont, so our growing season is quite short. Our last frost date is around mid-April, and our first frosts come around mid to late October. The way our farm is laid out allows for efficiency at every step of the growing process. The warehouse is located right in the middle of the farm, so whether it's to go pick up a tool or to bring some of the harvest back to the washing station or cold room, we're never more than a minute's walk away. The farm is divided into 10 plots of equal dimensions that we use as the basis of our crop rotation system. Each plot is composed of 16 beds that are 30-inch wide and 100 feet long. But we'll come back to that. The greenhouse is a big part of our system here on the farm. We're in a northern climate, and it's important for us that we can do our starts really early on in the spring. So the greenhouse is heated, and we do all of our seedlings in the spring, and we also do tomatoes in the summer. We also have 2 hoop houses that come in really handy for season extension, for salad mix both in the spring and in the fall, and also for our cucumber production in the midst of the summer. So we've learned through time that most of these sensitive crops, Solanaceae, the nightshades, they grow a lot better if they're under shelter. And we want to be early at market. Reason is we're competing against other growers, and as market gardener, I think one of our advantages is to be as early as possible at farmers market with everything you can bring. Anything you can do to bring your products earlier to market, you'll be a winner that way. Using small spaces, systems that are easier to put in motions, it's easier perhaps for you than a bigger mechanized growers to come up with a solution that's going to kickstart your production. And the first one on the market is going to capture most of the sales and the retention of all these customers that come into your booth before going to that of the other. Given how expensive it can get to heat the greenhouse in February in our part of the world, we use a room in our house with south-facing windows to start some of the seedlings early on. Tomatoes are all started this way and then moved into the greenhouse in March when we start heating it. When setting up a greenhouse or hoop house, consider that the north-south orientation is better for light distribution during the growing season, but that east-west will capture more sunlight in the winter months. If you're using your house for season extension, east-west is probably your best bet. I recommend using low-tech, simple systems for heating, irrigation, and ventilation of the greenhouse. This will help reduce your setup costs. Remember that proper ventilation is critical in your greenhouse if you want to avoid fungal disease. We'll even go as far as turning up the heating system during the summer months to get rid of our excess humidity. So we're now in the nursery, and most of the vegetables on our farm, that's where they start their lives. We set up a nursery every year, and we try to grow transplants as much as we can, even the smaller one like beets and spinach. The reason is it's a lot easier to control the germination, and it allows us to have part of the growing period inside the greenhouse. We've set for conventional cell flats or plugs, which are commonly used and I think the easiest and most effective way to proceed. They're always standardized with their width and their length, but you can have many different cells. We'll use either 72 or 128 cell flats depending on what we're seeding. Filling up the trays, it's pretty straightforward. You'll get your soil mix that is just a bit wet, and then you'll fill up the tray this way. Clean it up, make sure there's no excess, and then you drop it. And that creates a cavity that is necessary for when you'll be dropping the seeds. I'll take my excess soil, bringing it into over here. The quality of the soil mix is critical to the success of your seedlings. Just a small amount of growing medium has to give young plants everything they need for a good start, so you really can't improvise. It's possible to prepare your own soil mix, but for a few years now, we've been purchasing ours from specialized suppliers. It's much faster, and in the end, it worked out to be cheaper. When you're stacking the trays, it's important that you stack them in a cross shape so that they don't compact on each other. All of the soil that is left over, I put in a box, then I'll put back later on and reuse. So I'm not losing any soil while I'm preparing my seed mix. So we're seeding salads, and I'm using this little device. It's a little hand seeder, filling it with the seeds I need, and then there's different holes. And you'll find the right hole for the seed size that you're using, and then it's just a matter of getting the hang of it and dropping the seeds one by one. So this little handy device works better than in most often case if you're doing it by hand. The other option is also to just roll them like that. So you can try both and see what you like best. The next step is to take soil mix that is really dry, that I haven't wet, and I cover everything up. I'm doing mini heads of Claremont. It's a French cultivar that's really nice. Putting this on masking tape, identifying my tray, and we're ready to go. Plants that spend a longer time in cells, such as tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, or eggplant, will be potted up from cell trays into individual 4-inch cells for an additional 4 to 6 weeks. Potting up not only saves space when the heated area is limited, but also provides the transplants with new potting mix rich in nutrients. This is a vacuum seeder, And this is just an amazing gizmo. We use it to really speed up the amount of time it takes to prepare a seed tray. So what it is, it's a wooden empty box connected to a vacuum cleaner, and the vacuum cleaner will suck the air, and you'll drop your seeds on this plexiglass that has holes that are set to go in the middle of each tray. You drop your seeds on it, and then the air from the vacuum cleaner will suck the seeds into the holes. You'll flip it onto the tray, and then you'll shut down your vacuum cleaner and the seeds will drop. When you're watering your seedlings, it's important to do it in 2 phases. The first one will only get the surface of the soil wet, but the second one will ensure a deep watering of the plants to promote root development. This important principle also applies if you're watering plants in the fields. Also remember that watering seedlings early on with water that's too cold will slow down their growth. That's why we keep a large water reservoir inside our greenhouse. We'll keep starting new seedlings throughout the season, but those will be started directly outdoors since frost is no longer an issue. We always produce more seedlings than we need for the farm, and we sell our surplus after the first round of transplants in the field. The sale of seedlings to neighborhood gardeners gives us an extra income at a time when we don't have any vegetables to sell. The space occupied by our nursery in the greenhouse will be converted to tomato production once we've taken the seedlings outside. The reason that we farm without a tractor successfully is because we've adopted a permanent bed system. We've shaped the bed once using shovels many years ago, and we've been cultivating the surface ever since. We get around using less than $300 of gasoline that we put in our BCS walking tractor every year. Basically,